I recently cooked this with my mum and it's a little bit different, so I thought I'd share it with you. It's my version of a creamy spinach and lamb dish. I'm crushing 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds, which will give a lovely zing to the dish, with 6 cloves of garlic and about 3 or 4 centimetres of ginger. Just going to give that all a bash through so it's lovely and soft, and then add half a teaspoon of salt just to bring the ginger and the garlic and the coriander seeds all together to make a lovely paste. It's got a really fresh fragrance about it because of all of that lovely ginger. So once you've got a paste that looks like that, it's nice and squidgy, just pop that straight into your lamb. Make sure you scrape out all of the last little bits because you don't want to lose any of that flavour. And then just using your hand, just mix all of that through. Just rub it in, squidge it through your fingers, and just make sure that you massage it through into the meat. Once that's all mixed in, just pop that to the side for about 20 to 30 minutes, just to let it do its thing. I finally sliced 2 onions and they've been frying in about a tablespoon of oil, and when they're ready they start to look like this, nice and crispy. So these have been cooking for about 15 minutes. What I'm going to do now is take out all the nice crunchy ones and just pop them onto some kitchen paper, and we're going to use those later on just to add a bit of texture to the dish. So just use a fork and just fish out the nice crispy crunchy ones. So once you've got a third of them, just pop that to one side and we'll come back to that later. So the lamb's been sat in that lovely ginger, garlic and coriander marinade for about half an hour. So I'm just going to pop that straight in. Scoop in any of the ginger and garlic. And what you want to do is turn the heat up and start to coat that meat and start to seal it with those lovely onions. And let's get a little bit of heat to the meat. For this I like to use leg meat that's really nicely trimmed, so get rid of any excess fat and just try and have it nice and chunky. And as it seals, you'll see that the colour just starts to change. So it turns from that raw to that slightly seared colour, which is what you're looking for. So once the meat has started to sear, I'm going to add my spices into there. A teaspoon of turmeric. I'm going to chop in 1 fresh chilli. I'm going to add just half a teaspoon of salt and a little bit of chili powder as well. And just stir that through. Once the meat's all coated, I'm just going to turn the heat right down to the lowest setting, and I'm going to pop the lid on the pan. And now I'm going to leave that to cook for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes or so, have a look, and what you'll see is you've got a lovely gravy and a lovely sauce that's just come from the meat itself, so I've added no liquid to that. And what I've got here is some lovely natural yoghurt. I like to go for a Greek yoghurt, a thick yoghurt. So what I'm going to do is put in a tablespoon at a time of this. And what you really need to make sure that you do is every time you put a tablespoon in, give it a stir, make sure it sort of blends into the sauce rather than just dumping the whole lot in. You just need to make sure that you gradually add it in. Stir all of that into the meat and you'll see the colour change, and it just looks really beautiful, really vibrant. I'm going to increase the heat just a little bit, and then I'm going to start to add my beautiful, beautiful fresh green spinach that I've washed and chopped up. Make sure that you keep a little handful for the garnish for the end, but just sprinkle that in. Stir that spinach in, and once it's all stirred through, you're just going to pop the lid on the pan and leave that to cook for half an hour, just until that meat's really, really tender. My lamb's been cooking for half an hour. Look at that. First thing that hits you is that beautiful smell, but it's really important to note, look at that wonderful luscious gravy, and all of that has come from the meat itself. I've added no water to this at all. Right, I'm gonna have a little taste, which is really important. Got some lovely flavours in there. The lamb is really tender. The coriander gives it a really, really lovely freshness. That's good to go. So I'm going to dish that up. Just look at the way that spinach has just encased itself around the meat. It's beautiful. Now, the way that I like to finish this off is with the onions that we prepped earlier. So just take a nice big chunky handful, give them a bit of a scrunch on top, and it just gives it a really nice sort of texture. And we all love caramelised onions anyway. And I like to add a little bit of fresh spinach just to finish that off. I'm going to go and curl up on the sofa and enjoy this in front of the TV. This recipe is really tasty, served with some vegetable pakora and some fluffy rotis. Tap the eye to see these recipes, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.